This video is another scenario from Chariots of Fire by GMT Games. And this is the Battle of Megiddo, 1479 BCE. And as far as ancient battles go, this one has got a fair amount of documentation, I think, available, especially with regard to its location. In this battle, there is an Egyptian army led by Pharaoh Thutmose III, I think, attacking a Syrian coalition near the trade route connection at Megiddo. And Megiddo was, an area that was somewhat elevated. It was a strategic location, and you could see the enemy coming from various directions for miles around. So it was a key location. This scenario is going to presume that the Syrian coalition were still moving into position as the Egyptian army attacks. So in this first picture, you can see the setup. Pharaoh Thutmose is set up on the upper left-hand part in the yellow units, and he has a flank. His right flank is covered by Abana and Karis, with some yellow troops down across the river. And the coalition is got the king of Megiddo up on the top, Darusha, and the king of Canaan is covering his left flank along with the king of Ugarit. So this is kind of how the battle sets up. And in this game, it's interesting, the Egyptians will flee the battlefield if they incur 80 route points. That's quite high, whereas the Syrian coalition will flee at only the loss of 60 route points. But the catch is that units that route to the standards in Megiddo do not count against route points. I guess maybe they're presumably considered safe. So as far as victory goes. And the other thing affecting the Egyptians is if they lose 45 route points in chariot formations, they also will flee the battlefield. So this is one of the first battles in this game where chariots come into wide use in the chariot rules. So in this game, the chariots have units as well as runner units. So these are leg units that run with the chariot to protect them, somewhat to be a defensive protection. You have to imagine these men were somewhat athletic and well trained. And in this game, when chariots encounter each other, they can pass through each other and have fire combat, but they can't stop in each other's hex. But it's presumed that they ride apart enough from each other so that they can pass through. And there is an optional rule with chariots too. When they turn around to go back the other way, they can flip and become disabled. So I like to play with that rule. The Egyptian forces here on the right flank, Abana and Karis, they did not get involved right away, I think, historically. And they are basically inactive until King Thutmose rolls a successful momentum action. And then when he does, he can bring one of these formations into play. And then when he does it a second time, he can bring the other one in. So in the course of the game, it isn't too long, really, before all three of the reserve and wing formations are into the fray of battle. In this picture, you can see after the initial attacks, many of the Syrian coalition have fled to the safety of the position in Megiddo. And So this is they're out of play here, and they won't count for victory, but they also can't attack. So that's the catch with those. In this next picture, you can see General Carus's infantry moving against the king of Canaan's position. This was one of those flanks that had to be activated, and he's got the green coloration on the yellow troops there, and he's going to be moving in against the king of Canaan. Also, later in the battle, you can see in this next picture, it shows that many of the forces are fleeing the battlefield, and then eventually, in the next picture, the king of Megiddo is in a lot of trouble. You can see it doesn't go very well for him here. This is about the end for him. And finally, the last Syrian leaders are fleeing the battlefield. You can see the overall commander, Darusha, flees with a few chariots. And he leaves the battlefield with Tamosa with a victory here for the Egyptians. The Syrians have exceeded their route level, and the Egyptians have incurred really only 35 route points, and very few of those were chariots. So unfortunately, it doesn't go well for the coalition here. But that's just a quick overview of the Battle of Megiddo in 1479 BCE. I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching.